The chapter 1 of a research project is typically made up of 8 sections, which are introduction or background to the study, statements of the problem, research questions, research hypothesis, research objectives, scope of the study, justification of the study, and definition of terms. In this video, we shall be discussing how to write each section of the chapter 1. But before we continue, welcome back to this channel, Research Craft for Newbies. I hope you're all doing well. Alright, our previous video, we stopped on how to reference. There are still more to writing our chapter 2. There is still a phase where we need to talk about theoretical review, but I quickly skip that for now. After we discuss this, we shall go back there. Alright, let's go back to the business of the day. Like I said earlier on, the chapter 1 of a research project is made up of 8 sections. Alright, most of the time, some might not be there. It depends on the structure of how to write a research project in your school. And it might be more than 8 sections. Everything depends on the structure or the pattern on how you write your own research projects in your school. Alright, let's focus on introduction to or background to the study. That is the section 1. The introduction, often called introduction, why some call it background to the study, and that's the reason why you say introduction or background to the study. As a structure on how to write it, actually every of the section has a structure on how to write them. But the most important aspect of a chapter 1 is the introduction or background to the study and your statement of the problem. These two are quite important because they formulate the background of your study. We've discussed a lot about chapter 2. Before you can write this introduction and your statement of the problem, you need to have an in-depth understanding of what your work is. And that's the reason why we started the discussion of this series with our chapter 2. The chapter 2 gives an in-depth understanding on what the research project is all about. Now, with the knowledge of what you've gotten writing your chapter 2, it will be easy for you to write your chapter 1. Most importantly, your introduction or background to the study and your statements of the problem. All right, let's dive deeply into what introduction or background to the study is all about. Typically, the introduction to the study acts its own structure. In the modern days, if you want to write a research project that is catchy to people, that attracts, that draws people's attention to your work, your introduction is very, very important because it is the first thing that your supervisor or any reader that pick your work is going to see. And if it is not interesting, definitely they won't see it as something they need to waste their time on. Like they won't see it as something worth reading. So it is important for you to take notes, like be attentive to how to write the introduction or background to the study. Pay attention to the structure of background to the study. Now, if you want to write your background to the study or introduction, there are things you need to take note of. And these are the things that we have here. Okay, before I continue, let me make some kind of adjustment here. All right, for the introduction, background to the study, it is very, very important to take note of the following while writing, and every of your writing must follow this structure. Number 1, you have to take notes of the global challenges, the local challenges, the consequences, how your variables is going to provide solution to it, what others have done, what others have not done and you want to cover up, and how you are going to round up your introduction or background to the study. Now, follow me as I explain one after the other and also show you the example of how to write this. Now, if you want to write the introduction of your work, the first thing is to start writing by revealing what the global challenges is concerning your topic. And when I say topic, this time around, if you could recall from our previous videos, our topic is made up of two variables, which are the independent variable and dependent variable. So, while writing your introduction or background to the study, whatsoever you are writing must start with your dependent variable. This is because the dependent variable is the one that has problem, not the independent variable. As the name goes, independent variable are doing fine on their own. Nothing affects them. But the dependent variable is the one that is affected by the independent variable. So most often they are the one that has problems. They are the one that has challenges. So while writing your background to the study and you are starting with your while writing your introduction or your background to the study, starts with a global challenges that centers on your dependent variable. It is very, very important. And starting with the global challenges, this is going to take up your paragraph 1. Yes. This paragraph 1, as you're writing, depending on what you really want to reveal to your writer, or what you want to reveal to your readers rather, or your supervisor, it depends. It might cut across. It might be more than one paragraph, but everything depends on what you really want to talk about, the global challenges that surrounds your dependent variable, and how you can channel your thoughts together. It is very, very important. So writing or starting your work with the global challenges that has to do with your dependent variable might extend from your paragraph 1 to your paragraph 2. The next one is you are going to link the global challenges with the local challenges. You know, anything that happens, let me say, anything that has to do with the economy that happens didn't just start with a local challenge. It often begins with global challenges. For instance, let's take a look at the year of COVID-19. Let's say that we are trying to write anything that has to do with COVID-19, and COVID-19 is a dependent variable. Now, I said COVID-19 is a dependent variable. The economy performance or economic situation or economy development is the dependent variable. And let's say that our scope of study is for the past 10 years. Now, what has recently affected the economy performance globally is the pandemic COVID-19. Then we have the issue of inflation, we have the issue of interest rates, we have a lot of things. So anything that happens within your locality, or let me say within the locality of within the scope, that is the country scope of your study, as it begins with a global trend, and it is the aftermath of the global trend that extend to the locality of where you are focusing your research topic on, the local region, either sub-Saharan African, either Nigeria, either US as a country specifically, either UK, anything, any country you're centering you want to focus your study on. Do you understand? So you're going to link the global challenges. You are going to talk about the consequences of these global challenges and how it brings about local challenges. Do you understand? Now I'm talking about showing the consequences now. I'm talking about these first 3 points at the same time. So from your global challenges, you are going to link to the consequences and link it down to the local challenges. How has the consequences of the global challenges brought about the challenges you're facing in your locality, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, in Sub-Saharan Africa, in whatsoever the scope of your study center on. How has it affected it? So while trying to do this, it might cut across like the next 4 paragraphs. Now, what I mean by the next 4 paragraphs, I mean starting with the global challenges might take the first 2 paragraphs, showing the consequences and linking to the local challenges might take the next 2 paragraphs, making 4 paragraphs. It depends on whatever you want to write. Okay? And your global challenges might just take a paragraph or probably part of the second paragraph, while the consequences and linking to local challenges might just take the next 2 paragraphs. And if you're working on a if you're working on a master thesis or a PhD thesis, it might cut across, it might be more than that. You know, the number of pages for the chapter 1 for undergraduate students is different from the number of pages for the chapter 1 of a master thesis and a PhD thesis. Yeah, so that's the reason why it might be more than that. But this video, we are focusing on the undergraduate students. But anyway, for the master students and the PhD students, it follows the same structure. So after that, you've discussed what these challenges are and their consequences. Now you have to talk about how your independent variable can provide solution to the challenges that has to do with your dependent variable that you've talked about earlier on. Remember, it is the dependent variable that is problematic, and it is being affected by the independent variable. Pragmatically, it is depending on your independent variable. So, in other words, it is your independent variable that is providing solution to the problem you identify with your dependent variable. So that's the reason why the next paragraph, you have to show how your independent variable provides solution to your dependent variable. And while trying to show how your independent variable can provide solution to your dependent variable, please, you are not going to divine. You are not going to do anything that has to do with divination. What you want to do is to show, discuss, show. I will still show you an example of how to do that. And apparently, everything about your background to the study is about showing. You are showing through discussion. Please, not through divination. You are not divining, but you are showing through discussion. So you're going to show how your independent variable is going to provide solution to this. And in order to show how your independent variable is going to provide solution to the problem you identify with your dependent variable, then you need to show what others has done as regarding your study. What do they say about the independent variable being a solution to the dependent variable? What is their stance? What is their say? You see, the reason why now you really need to start your work with your chapter 2 so that you can have an in-depth understanding of what your work is all about before you dive into writing your chapter 1. Because otherwise, you are going to just be divining in your chapter 1. You won't really know what you need to do in your chapter 1. So you need to show what others have done. Remember, showing what others have done, you've already covered it in your chapter 2. You've covered it through your empirical review. You've covered it through your concepts. And you know, when you're doing your empirical review, you look at their abstracts. You look at their conclusion. You look at their recommendation. You look at their objective. You look at the focus of their work. And you can see everything, what they've done in relation to your particular study. So this is where everything you've done in your chapter 2 is coming to play an important role in your chapter 1. So after that, you need to show what others have done and the area they are yet to cover and you want to cover in your study. That's the place of your research gap. If you can recall, that is in your chapter 2. After you've done your empirical review, you have to bring out the gap. That is, you've known what others have done. What is it that they've not do that you want to do in your work? And we've talked extensively in our previous video on how to identify gap in literature. This is where the gap is going to come into play now in your chapter 1. You need to show what they've done and what they are yet to do that your own study wants to cover. And then you're going to round up. Now, everything about your introduction or background to the study is all about showing. All you want to do is to show. There is no need to divine. There is no need to divine. There's no need to talk about the advantage of this is the disadvantage of this is the limitation. You just want to show. You are portraying to the world what the problem is with that your particular topic. By showing them example, that's the place of the discussion. You show them, and by showing them example, you are showing them the current trend. Please, not the old thing that has been happening. The current trend, you need to begin to you need to keep putting into your introduction everything that portrays the current trend, the current happening, the current situation. That's the reason why we say you have to start with the global challenges, the consequences, and its effects, how it links with these local challenges on the focus of your study. So what you're doing is you are showing, you're not divining. You're not talking about advantage or disadvantages or limitation on anything. You want to show. You can cite examples to make it more interesting. So let's quickly consider before we continue, and probably that might be where we are going to end this video. Let's consider how to show what is going on when it comes to the introduction of our of the study or background to the study. All right, I had made an example here. Let me bring this down a bit. Now, this particular paragraphs that you're seeing here, yes, these paragraphs, they represent the introduction of a published work that has to do with corporate governance of multinational enterprises and their reporting practices. So apparently, corporate governance is the independent variable and the reporting practices is the dependent variable, and the scope is multinational enterprises. So a lot has been done on corporate governance. But what about multinational enterprises? What's up with them? What's going on with them? So let's see how we practicalize all those points that we talked about earlier on, all those from the global challenges to the consequences to the local challenges to how the independent variable affects the dependent variable by providing solutions to it, what others have done and are yet to do, and what you want to do, and then how you're going to close up your background to the study. So let's take a look at this. You see, over the years, the world has witnessed the collapse of more companies due to poor financial reporting practices since the Enron and Adensis scandal. The Enron and Adensis scandal is an old scandal that everybody knows about when it comes to corporate governance. In fact, it's one of the scandals that formulates the beginning of the global seriousness when it comes to corporate governance. So, you see, I'm just showing over the years. After this, what has happened? After the events of the Enron and Adensis scandal, what has happened? I'm showing that a lot of company has collapsed again, even after that scandal that led to organizations being serious about the issue of their corporate governance. So let's continue. Several financial reporting scandals that arise from corporate control failure, such as, you see now, I am giving an example of the scandal that has happened after the Enron scandal, despite the fact that corporate governance in organization has been tightened again. So what has happened? We see failures such as Freddie Mac scandal. You see, a lot of people might not even know about these scandals when it comes to corporate governance. All they might know about is the Enron and Adensis scandal. But I go ahead to show them that more scandals has even occurred after this Enron and Adesso scandal, like the Freddie Mac scandal, Lehman Brothers, Nicholas Rowe, the Wild Card saga, Luckin Coffee Fruity, PP fraud, Wells Fargo scandal, and many more. So it's more than the scandals I've listed here. So people that are interested, that are curious, that are reading your work with a curious manner, oh, what about all these scandals? What are they about? They can easily go online, type those scandals online, and read more about it to satisfy their curiosity. And even these scandals are reported by Corporate Financial Institutes and Clifford in 2020. Now, a Messi have moved from, you see, all these things, all the ones I reported earlier on happened in 2020. Now I'm now moving to what's happened recently again, and that has to do with corporate governance. Now, a messy corporate collapse was recently recorded in November 2022 by the FTX Exchange, a cryptocurrency company operating in the Bahamas. The chief executive officer leveraged customers' assets for personal use and encouraged its insiders on the same unethical practices. See, everything has to do with reporting practices, which is the dependent variable. Now, the diversification of customers' deposits for personal use commenced since inception of the company in 2009, and as at the time of the company's collapse, $8 billion of customer funds have been misappropriated. You see, all these things happened despite the fact that the organizations are operating with corporate governance. You see, now my introduction did not end with, my paragraph 1 does not end with, reporting about the global challenges rather does not end with my chapter 1, with my paragraph 1 rather. It doesn't end with it. It extends beyond that. So let's continue. Let's look at what is going on in the paragraph 2. An interesting fact about the scandal is that the financial reporting of the company didn't reflect the misappropriation because it was perfectly planned using software. I hope you can see a very terrible issue with financial reporting practices now. Investors kept investing in FTX without the clear picture of the real financial state of the company. The scandal became public when the CEO of Binance rejected his acquisition plan to save the company due to the financial difficulty that the company ran into. The scandal shook the whole cryptocurrency market, and several customers lost their funds to the scandal because of the deceptive financial reporting practices of the company. The consequences of the scandal is still felt in the crypto market today because the market lost billions as at the time of the collapse. As you can see, a lot of people that doesn't know about the FTX fraud, we have to learn about this now through my introduction. You see, it is interesting and catchy. And then I still talked about how the consequences is being felt in the global crypto markets as of today, because it was a massive, let me call it haste. It was a massive haste. Yeah, what happened was a massive haste. Now, okay, I want to bring